We're a little late, but we're going to get going, and hopefully anyone that's upstairs that wants to come down and join us will do that once they hear this happening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mimi Sullivan. I'm the Executive Director here at the Architecture Department at the Academy of Art University. On behalf of the university and Dr. Lisa Stevens, our president, and our department, I'd like to welcome all of you and thank you all for coming. This is a lecture that from its inception a few months ago has been very exciting to us to pretty much make it happen, and here we are tonight, so we're thrilled. I want to also thank a couple of people who actually made this happen. Two are here with us from the Japanese Consulate this evening. Nomura-san with the camera right in my face, right there. And Take-san in the back here from the Japanese Consulate. So due to their generosity and working with our faculty member and graduate advisor, David Gill, we have Tezuka Sensei with us tonight, so we're very excited. David's actually going to introduce Tezuka Sensei. I wanted to, probably doesn't need much introduction, introduce David. David is obviously an accomplished architect and educator. He's been with us here in the department, I've lost count, David, 8 years? 7 years? 8 years? Plus or minus. And he's also been our graduate advisor since 2013, helping guide our graduate students through a very rigorous program. David also teaches, I would say, probably 3 of the most difficult classes in the curriculum in the graduate program, and that is materials and methods, the thesis prep, I should say 4 classes, sorry, the comprehensive and integrated design studio, which is one of the more complete projects a student has to design while they're here in the graduate program, and then he's also a thesis advisor. Seeing people through the challenges of a thesis project, and then helping them move on into their careers. So David has just given us so much over the years, and here's one more thing he's giving us, and that is the collaboration with the Japanese Consulate to bring Tezuka Sensei here tonight. So thank you, David.
Thank you, Mimi. Excuse me. So good evening. Thank you all for joining us. Oh, I hear you're good at that. Yeah. Good evening. As Mimi said, the School of Architecture and the Academy of Art University and President Elisa Stevens would like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan and the Consulate General of Japan, in particular Nomura-san and Take-san, for helping arrange this. We're very grateful for their patronage for the discourse of architecture. I'll keep this brief because our guest will have a lot of new work to share with us. Tezuka Architects is a partnership between Takaharu Tezuka and Yui Tezuka, a husband-wife team. Both hold Bachelor of Architecture degrees from Musashi Institute of Technology. Takaharu holds a Master of Architecture from the University of Pennsylvania and worked for several years for Richard Rogers Partnership in London. Yui studied at the Bartlett School of Architecture in London. Takaharu and Yui established Tezuka Architects in Tokyo in 1994. Both have taught in numerous institutions, and Takaharu is currently professor at Tokyo City University. Over the years, the office has designed and built dozens, hundreds of projects now? 180. 180, okay. You're going to roll the O's with 200 soon, I imagine. The office's work has been published internationally. I'm not even going to try to put a number on that, and has earned numerous awards, including the Architectural Institute of Japan's Annual Architectural Commendations in 2016, UNESCO's Global Award for Sustainable Architecture in 2017, and the Moriyama RAIC International Prize in 2017. The work of Tezuka Architects is both simple and enigmatic. I thought I had first learned of their work through their Fuji kindergarten project. This project has earned international acclaim and turned up as a unique example in a variety of contexts, both architectural and pedagogical. My understanding of Tezuka Architects was simply that of the Fuji kindergarten. I had a simple one-for-one association between the office and that project, not a broader understanding. So when I learned that Takaharu would be visiting us, I thought I should become better acquainted with the office's work. I discovered, to my surprise, that I was already aware of the office's work. I just didn't know whose work it was. I searched through their portfolio. I recognized project after project. The roof house, Fuji Kindergarten, the Matsunoyama Natural Science Museum, the eaves and cloister houses, the Angawa House. For years I've been aware of this work. I've seen it in magazines, mostly Japanese magazines, which, because I can't read Japanese, is probably why I didn't know they were the architects of those projects. But it's not that the projects lack a signature or an attitude that might be evident of the hand of the architect. Instead, my mind found another means of cataloging their work: sensitive, relatable, and subtly ingenious. I didn't know that I didn't know the architect because I was content to understand the work as it is, without explanation, without an attribution. Their work is both contemporary and timeless, in part because it retains the vernacular of Japanese building sensibilities while seen through a modern lens, but more specifically, the work is simply present, or the product of being present. Each project is transparent each project is transparent and projects the unique characteristics of the client, of the site, the activities within and around it. Tezuka Architects has the ability to question very basic assumptions. What is a roof? How does a child engage with a guardrail? How does a building respond to the weather? And turn these into opportunities to transform the human experience of our environment. Listening to the client, to the site, to the material, and then representing a deep understanding of those through the design. Perhaps that is the signature of these architects. Tezuka Architects makes this look obvious, and with obviously sublime results. Please join me in welcoming Takaharu Tezuka.
I think I should take this off because I don't need two of this, huh? Because I should turn at least one off because it started hurrying. Okay. Thank you for your coming to my lecture. Actually, you are here all the time, so I'm the one who came. And as you can see, I'm always in blue from the top to the bottom. And my iPhone is blue, my watch is blue, my socks is blue, my shoes is blue. So people think I'm always in the same T-shirts, but it's not true. It's different from yesterday. I have more than 100 of this. And then, hold on, just how it works. And then I got married with a lady in blue. And this is my family, 4 colors. Always I start my story from my family, because all my ideas are coming from my family. And why I made a question, why I made a lecture in Harvard, one of the students made a question: how do you understand kids so much? Could you tell me how I can learn about it? I told him, it's quite simple. You get married with your girlfriend, and then you get the baby, you understand it. It's quite simple. And these days, you architecture students are poisoned by university. That is what we're talking about. And when I ask students, ask the student, what is it? They said paper and the circular. But nobody told us that it's a T. So you don't have no vision anymore. And in Japan, all atelier type office work very hard. But my office is different. Always as you do in this country, we have weekend, and also they are not allowed to come in before 10 o'clock. And if they want to have a date, they can go for a date in the evening. As long as they are doing work, it's fine. And there's one thing we are very much proud of. And we had 8 marriages last 10 years. So if you want to find your mate, you should come to my office. Always I say, if you don't know the happiness, you can't provide happiness to the others. That is our job. It's quite simple. So I'm going to start my lecture from the project everybody knows. This is our kindergarten, how it used to look like until 13 years ago. And when I went there, and I found out it's really shabby, but I felt, always they have to walk one building, another outside, another building outside, and I felt with me how many, it's showing how many leakage are happening in the building, and I was taken to see more than 30 leakage points. So then I was showing this, and actually I was looking at our children. Start the video, please. And we designed the circle so they keep going. So that after that they get tired, they sleep better. After they go home, it's good for the family. And I found out there are some trees on the way, so we didn't want to cut it. So we kept the tree on the middle of the classrooms. But when you keep the tree, this kind of tree on the middle of the classroom, you have to keep the roots. So we had to make sure we put foundation where you don't cut the roots. We did some research. And then we designed this. Actually, when we designed this building, when we are designing this building, they went to see a project called the Roof House. I'm not going to show the project this time, but they have to go to the library to find my book. Okay, it's your assignment. And the roof house has no handrail, and people are sitting on the edge of the roof. So then owner said, I don't want to have any handrail on the edge of the roof. I said, I think it's impossible for kindergarten. But he insisted, and he said, how about having net sticking out from the edge of the roof so we can catch the children falling off? I said it's impossible, but he said, okay, you go to local government, convince them. So I went there, and they looked at me, are you insane? And I came back, and I told owner, they told me I'm crazy. He said, oh, do you have to go back again? And he called local government, and I realized he is much more important than the mayor. Mayor has election every 4 years, like president. But principal of the kindergarten doesn't have an election. So their family has been running this kindergarten for 60 years. It means everybody in the council are from this kindergarten, and they are trained to listen to the principal. And then when professor says, oh, you have to have a kindergarten without handrail, they listen. And they are trained that way, but they are over 30 or 40 years old. They are listening to the owner. Then we could keep that idea around the tree, but it's just indication, it's handrail. It's amazing. And then they don't care about handrail. They jump in the tree, and more, and more. And you can see that this boy loves the tree, so he's eating the tree. And then he insisted, I want just on the net, on the edge. And it's impossible. You have to have a vertical bar. It's a requirement. But when he saw this, it's not looking so bad. It's monkeys in zoo, feeding time. And when we designed this kindergarten, we were not following a building standard for the kindergarten. And first of all, the ceiling height is very low because we wanted to see the kids on top of the roof. If the ceiling is too high, you don't see the kids on top. And rooftop is inclined a little, so they can see everybody on top of the roof, inclined to the inward, inside. And also, there is no boundary between classrooms because they're running Montessori education. The owner said, I don't want to have any wall, but according to the building standard, you are supposed to have 3 meters for classroom, and then you have to have a thick wall between classroom, but no wall. And also, just we don't have a wall against the courtyard, but said, just let's keep it open, so it's almost outside. So local government and also local authority about the education didn't like it at all. So always get complaints. One day everything gets changed. At 2011, 1st of 19th. Actually, it happened before this. United Nations and the OECD and the UNESCO tried to find the best school building in the world. They tried to understand what the best school is. And then more than 166 submissions came from 33 countries. We didn't know anything about. Each country submitted a representative. And then suddenly they found out this school became the best in the world. And then it's amazing thing is Japanese government changed its attitude completely. Japanese government never listened to Chinese, never listened to Korean, never listened to Japanese, but they listened to an American, even Mr. Donald Trump, and they listened to Europeans. So they said, oh, it's wonderful building. And I went to Paris, and some people came from French embassy, and they were sitting along with me. But I don't think they are being a part of making this kindergarten, but I think just they were being proud of that. And then when we went back to Japan, we realized we are getting prize from Minister of Education. Suddenly, everything get changed. And then my wife was appointed to be the one to set up a new standard for the kindergarten. Now we as a government, what we can do, whatever we want. So strong a position. So now we're doing whatever we want. This is the old picture before we put green. By the way, this is the mount to make the staircase to be shorter. And if it is too long, they might break their neck. But owner said, don't worry. We make sure they don't break their neck. They might break their arm or legs, but we make sure they don't break their neck. That the owner says. So very curious owner. And you can see what these kids are doing. They are making mud balls every day, and there are 640 kids. When 640 kids are taking mud ball away every day, this mound disappeared. So construction company wasn't happy about it. And the gargoyle. There are lots of leaves falling onto the roof. And then this is leg washing place. This is normal water tap. This is flexible so they can spray the water to your friends. And shower. And this boy is not washing his boots. He's putting the water into his boots. Okay, cute. Now it's very important slide. When one of the German scientists came, actually she was a specialist. She got surprised. Oh, when it's rainy day, they might get wet. And the owner said, oh, it's okay. In Japan, when they get wet, usually they change. And then the scientist said, well, still they might get wet. What happens when they get wet? Oh, in Japan, usually kids are waterproofed. So you can wash them clean. They are not like iPhone. But these days you can wash iPhone too. So my point is, in summer, we go to beach, sun is 50 degrees. And in winter, we go to skiing. And then that is minus 20 degrees. So its comfort is not about moisture nor temperature. It's about how we live. Because we are designed to stand against changes. And also, it's very important to keep them in nature. And I'll tell you something about, for example, bacterial, balance. And sometimes you will be told by authority, you have to make everything clean. Sometimes antibiotics. But the problem is that when there is no bacteria, your immune system start killing your body, because the bacteria in your body is twice of your body cells. And then you are always keeping balance. And when the immune system doesn't have enemy, the immune system start killing yourself. And also when you put pregnant lady, then the body start killing embryo. That happens. So we need to be a part of such a kind of things. And then one more slide I need to show you. Could you start? This is not Japan. It's Indonesia. Bali Island. It's called Kecha. And it's usually rituals. This ritual is played in the jungle. But can you hear the background noise? Beep. Okay, you can stop it now. Okay. Oops, not just. I need to go back. Oops. Okay. When we were recording that in jungle, we are not aware of the existence of that background noise. And when we play the music or ritual in Tokyo, I realized there's so much noise behind. We thought there is a kind of glitch with my iPhone, But the scientist who invited me said, no, noise was always there. It's a part of jungle. But when you're in jungle, you learn to ignore it. It's amazing noise cancellation system. It's not by frequency, it's by information. And he said, your body is doing exactly the same. In jungle, you can erase the noise of jungle. But in normal life, you are erasing noise of your body. Your cardiovascular system making a noise of more than 70 to 90 decibel, bigger than noise from a construction site. And once you dive under the water, noise come back. When you are under the water, you can listen, you can hear lots of noise, big noise, but it's not from the water, it's from your body. And in normal circumstance, you can't hear your body noise. But if you go into very special studio without reflection, and after 30 to 40 minutes, you start hearing your heartbeat and the breathing. And it's extremely noisy. My point is that many scientists suspect most of the autistic symptoms are caused by modern environment. And the United States has the highest ratio of autistic children And the United States is the most advanced country in the world. So something to do with that environment. But if you are parents, you know, when you are holding a baby in your arm in very noisy restaurant, they sleep very well, and then you bring the kids back to the kids' room, and when they put in quiet bed, they start crying. That's the worst moment. Because they have no noise. And in jungle, when background noise stops, that's a sign of the predator coming to eat you. So it's a kind of a danger. So background noise is needed. And also, sometimes you talk about silence. And then some Japanese students said, oh, tea house is a silence. But if you go there, it's a full of noise. And when you are in complete silence, you don't feel good, no? You feel unsettling. That is what we are. We need to be a part of noise. Students sleep better when I'm talking. It's the same thing. Now, there is no boundary between classrooms. And sometimes they teach mathematics right next to music. But they learn to ignore it. If you go to bar, still people are talking to each other. That is what we are. We are capable of selecting information. And also, there's another research. Today, and I have time, so just I'm telling more stories. There's a research about children in China, a newborn baby. These days, rich Chinese family try to put their newborn baby in a very quiet room, expensive. But one of the scientists found out that's a problem. That is really serious problem. Because when the baby is in quiet room, when they're born, they start having mental disorder. So really, the baby sleep better in the noise, not construction noise, amongst many. That is what we are supposed to be. So, there's no wall between classrooms. And some authority says, there's no way they keep concentration. It's opposite. In the noise, they keep amazing concentration. Just like listening to nice jazz in a bar, it's really different from classic music. And there's one more thing. The autistic child can keep distance as they like. Sometimes they need more distance. So if this boy doesn't like to be in the classroom, the owner said, we can let him go. And then he's allowed to get out, but he said he will come back eventually. Because it's circle, he comes back. Now we talk about the future. This is a futuristic movie from 1980s, the time of the Blade Runner and the Tron. Not Tron Legacy, Tron. And the future represented like this. Inside the computer was the future. And now Matrix. Still, this is already an old movie, but future is like this. Nothing different from now. And now Mr. Smith is saying, we designed Arcadia. Everything is perfect, and entire crop was lost. So it means human couldn't live in pure water. We are supposed in just normal situation. My point is, some people say, if you think about future, you need to know how to use a computer. You need to have a projector screen all over the place. But it's not true. Our future is invisible. Our kids are using this. And I'm not the Steve Jobs, but I'm not selling Apple products. But I'm saying, because of this, you can go to jungle, and you can go wherever you want, and you can come back. And the people are saying, we are having problem with technology supporting war, but it's not true. we are having the time. Smallest number of people were killed by the war. Now everything is becoming so obvious throughout the world. So people become aware of it. So my understanding of future is not about technology looking like a technology. We are hoping to have a future as we can be more human with support of technology. That is what I'm talking about. Now, I think she shows a picture too. These days, if you can see this building, it doesn't look like a high tech, but if you see the size of the column, it's quite tiny. But this is strong. It stands against twice of the gravity sideways, and then we got a very special column. Just like a tank, the cannon or tank. We sprayed our steel into the barrel. We cast it out. It's extremely strong column. And also we calculate what kind of frequency happens. So we differentiate the frequency of the beam. And I understand the structure very well. I used to write program, the computer analysis. And also we analyze the acoustic condition. So it's not just a space. It's supported by latest technology, but you don't see it. Okay, now this is how they divide the classrooms. They were supposed to help, but they don't help. They think they're helping teacher. The Christmas time and wash basin. These days, kids don't talk to each other. So we force them to talk to each other around the world. Christmas time, a monkey trying to fish another monkey. Each classroom has at least one skylight. And we designed Santa Claus comes down for each classroom. But we made a mistake, One day, owner invited very good-looking American Santa Claus. We didn't tell him it's designed for Japanese Santa Claus. I can imagine what happened. The frame was too small. And also, I need to talk about this. These days, people think we have to use LED. But you should know that LED has a problem, cause a problem for the kids' eyes. The blue light behind the LED and in the blue light, in the LED, kills the cells in the back of their eyes. So still, we can't use LED for small kids. And you are okay. You are too old for that. But their eyes got very, very weak wall in the back of their eyes, and they lose sight. Now, this is a movement of boy between 10 past 9 to 30 past 9. Within 20 minutes, he moved this much. This is not exactly small building. Okay, could you run the movie, please? This is from one of the Japanese TV program. Kids keep running, but we didn't tell them they have to run. It's a spontaneous movement, and the point is there is no praying to. Just they try to do something by themselves, just like a sheep coming out from a cage in the morning, and you can see how they're running around. This is what they are, and how you used to be. And the blue guy, looking down from a kind of special crane. And the roof is inclined. The slight inclination makes them run. And the point is there is no praying to. And when there is no praying to, they have to improvise to decide their movement. But that is how social activity happens. And CNN, and it's announced, it's broadcasted all over the world. But problem is that CNN still think Japan is a part of China. They're using Chinese music. Well, Japan used to be a part of China, maybe 1,600 years ago. Okay, not anymore. Okay. Okay, could you start again? And this is the movement of the kids from drone. It's not ants. It's amazing how much they move. And we projected this image on one of the models at Venice. Okay, next one. Okay. You see that kids are running out of the model. I think it's gonna end sooner or later. You can see the projections are working extremely well in Venice. The best part is kids are taking stairs up, sliding down. Okay. Since we became government, we can do whatever we want. So we put 7 floors in 5 meter. So ceiling height is very low. When you do that, it's there's some danger. So you have to experiment. So usually you put your kids first. First project you designed the mother's house because you can test with a mother. Okay, and we do that with kids, huh? And he hit his head, but he's okay. He's resilient because he's my son. And then we put other kids, and traffic is awful in Tokyo. Bad driver in front, and small dosage of danger is very important. That is how they learn. That is how they learn motor skill, these kinds of things. And they learn how to help each other, okay? There's no function inside. It's like English language class. My daughter, this is how she used to be, not anymore. She's trying to go to art university now. Now, it's a more serious project. I think you know that the tsunami came to Japan, and that tsunami, the highest tsunami reached 40 meters from sea level. 40 meters is amazing. This building is maybe 10 meters, so 4 times of this building. You don't know how you can survive. And when it happened, more than 20,000 people killed. But the funny thing is, they had 2 hours to escape. They were watching news. And national TV was saying, you have to leave the coast, you have to leave the coast. But the people stayed because people didn't believe it. And there are always tsunami, but not such a big, they didn't believe it. It's okay. They didn't believe it. And there nobody survived from last tsunami. The last tsunami is 1611, exactly 400 years ago. After 400 years, everybody forget. The 1611, that's the time Galileo Galilei was saying this planet is turning around the sun, and he gave up. But there's one monk saved thousands of lives. At the end of the promenade, the stairs go up, and there's a temple. The monk said, if an earthquake happens, you have to come to my temple. It means if you go to old temple, your life gets saved because the old temple survived the last one. So it means your life gets saved. And these trees were planted after the last tsunami. So this is exactly 400 years old. And we decided to use these trees to rebuild kindergarten. I was asked UNESCO to help them, and not UNESCO, UNICEF. But they asked me to design a temporary construction. I said, it's wrong. You have got enough money to rebuild new one, so we should design for longer time. They said, okay, do you have money? Is it enough? I said, no, it's okay. We recycle these trees. But the things I'm very good at it, I say, it's possible all the time. And the people in my office always have to suffer. But that is what you do when you go to new office. Very heavy columns, about 2 tons, 2,000 kilograms. And we use the old joinery because we knew that old joinery survives Japan more than 1,000 years. The wedges, we're using wedges, no? And we are making hole in the middle because we need to dry the column from inside out. It's old Chinese technique. But the Chinese used to do that 1,000 years. I don't know how they got such a craftsman with long arm to drill, 6 meters, but they managed to do it. But these days it's quite easy. You get the drill in the middle. And it looks like a temple because it's a part of a temple, but designed for at least 400 years, long lifespan. And this is a column telling a story. If tsunami comes, you have to come to me. This is where life gets saved. I was killed by tsunami 2011. This is a message for the children 2411. This is how the promenade looking like. Big trees died, and we are planting new trees. So if you go to site 2411, maybe you may see our new project. Now you can see, could you run? You can see how it's looking like. And many children came back. And we built that project on the middle of the forest, on the middle mountain. They're all gone. There's a famous architect called Kengo Kuma. He moved all this, made his own town. So it's all gone. But we managed to save some of the original surface. And the people said, it's too dangerous to put kids on the slope. But he's okay now. Yeah? This is how kids are supposed to be. Also in Japan, it is illegal to put kids this inclination, but it's okay. This is how they train by themselves. If you don't get used to survive in slope, you can live in San Francisco. Huh? And this area is very cold in winter, -15, and summer is 40 degrees. But they're happy to be outside. You don't need to protect them so much. This is how they were supposed to be. They keep running, and running like this. It's not training, They are moving by themselves. That is the power of architecture, Okay, you can go to the next one. I think, yeah, I can do that. Okay, this is another project. It's called Roots of Net, and inside there's a net woven by Canadian artist. Inside you have a net like this, like a forest, and this is more than 500 pieces of huge timbers. Of course, this time is laminated timber, because you can't cut a big tree. But if you're using laminated, survive along this, and you don't need to cut. You can keep the forest, but still you can utilize timbers. Okay. You don't need to tell them to how move around. Is it the kind of party going on? Maybe you should tell them to come to my lecture. Otherwise, I can't give you that in a grade. Is it open? Okay. This is architecture, I think. Always people think, what is architecture? It's about the life. These days, students are trying to get idea from magazines, but they should know that everything published in magazine is designed 4 or 5 years ago, and the idea is 10 years old. So everything on magazine is obsolete. And another important point when you design architecture for kids. You have to design for the space for grown-up as well. This is where people spend more time. Father is always tired. He got some injury. He's okay. She's okay. My wife and my son. He's cute, my son, but not anymore like this, unfortunately. Okay, I show some pictures because Japan is sometimes very snowy country. This area get a very heavy snow again. You know? This is one level up from ground level. So to get another side of the street, you have to go walk through the tunnel like this. Actually, this is a picture from 20 years ago. Now it's not like this, just because they have water to melt. And then a site architect called us. It's impossible to get the site. How to get there? This is the amount of snow we gained in a day. This is how, also you can climb up the top, like Mount Everest. But when you design architecture in such a kind of harsh environment, we have to make sure, it's good for, nice weather. Because even you are in Norway or Sweden, still you get good weather in summer and springtime. It opens up. And then it's summer, okay? It's open, like a market. There's a story about this site. There used to be a town center, and heavy snow came, and that snow squashed more than 80 people, killed. So they built a temple, say I'm sorry to them. And then after that, they built a new town center. Then earthquake came, and the wall fell down, people get killed. So nobody want to touch. That's the real center of this Tokamachi city. Then eventually they came to us, and we are not known to be good luck parent, the good luck couple. So they asked us to design a new one. So this became the center of the city again, market. Okay. And I'm going to show you a few more projects. I'm trying to wrap up. This is a church. And they have a kindergarten to help some, mental disorder. And then on the center, they have a very modest church. And they didn't want to use any expensive material. So I said, okay, just we can use very simple material. And we can use straight one, very simple shape. 20,000 pieces of timbers, like this. And we spend so much time to understand the acoustic environment, because when you design church, you have to make sure your voice travels nicely, like a lecture hall. But at the same time, you need echo for He's Peter Cook. He's trying to be, priest. He's always funny. You can see that it's composed of small pieces. We used about 20,000 pieces. And this is a wedding happened in the space. And actually, they were a couple worked on this project. So I told them, if you don't finish the project in time, there is no wedding. So they worked very hard. And the lighting. Sometimes students try to get same lighting as daytime. That's not true. It's not the right thing to do, because after dark, church should be dark too, because the church represents the world. And after dark, the light lit up on the people, and light goes up. and you can play this just a little bit. And always I play piano to confirm the acoustic environment. Okay, next. I don't need to run too much. Okay, next. Okay, it's fine. And this is another church. We design many churches. And the funny thing is, I'm not a Christian. Some people ask, and how come you can design church not being Christian? But you need to understand Japan. When a girl become 3 years old, they want to get the celebration in Shinto temple. It's called Shichigo-san, 753. And then, when they get married, they want to go to a Catholic church. It looks good. And when they die, they go to Buddhism temple. That is why they find a graveyard. So picking a religion is like going to another hamburger shop. It's free. So when design Christian church, become Christian, and then suddenly afternoon I go to Buddhism church, Buddhism temple, and I pray for Buddhism now. And then sometimes I go for wedding of my students from Middle East. Just like this in the mosque. So, this is a pool for baptism, and I don't know how you call it, but pastor said, this was a very good idea. It looks like a part of floor. So we don't need to tell them to get baptism. They can step into, and they automatically they get baptized. Okay. This is a pastor. And this church is called Church with Eve, Church of Eve. Always nice to have Eve. In Japan, there's a sentence saying, if you let people to get into Eve, sometimes these people take over your main house. But it means people used to invite, the owner of the house used to invite people underneath the Eve, so they can help people on the street. So this is happening. This is the best part. One of the best part of my profession. It's an amazing moment. She gave us a Bible from her father. She's already 85 years old, so the Bible must be more than 40, 50 years old. But she said, I want you to have it. So it's the biggest honor we had. Okay, I think this is okay, huh? And then we can show you another one. Could you run this? This is another kindergarten we published just only 4 months ago, and it's umbrella to make our kids making circle around. How it's looking like? It's these days we make many timber buildings. Again, there is no corridor. Always you have to walk around, but it's good for the kids. Could you run this movie, please? And there is no edge, so even he falls, he's okay. And it's because these days, parent doesn't want to get them hurt, but this is how they train themselves. It's a part of their training. And this is March, so water is very cold, and this girl doesn't like to take any shower in her house. She keeps taking a shower, 12 degrees in the winter, and then this small boy is so happy and come to me No. Oh. And the daddy, then they go back. It's no more story. Okay. I think it's too much. Okay. And I think 2 more projects. This is Chamber of Commerce. Oops. And in Tomioka City, this is World Heritage Silk Factory. This silk factory is known to have our first, I guess, rule for working condition, in Japan. This is the oldest modern factory in Asia, and they needed to work only 8 hours a day, 19th century, and also they had the latest in medical care, from the doctors are called from Europe, French doctors, and they had a weekend, and so this became a kind of model for modern factory in Japan in the last century, not 19th century. And this is a station with gold medal. Actually, they used to work for us. And then there's another famous architect called Kengo Kuma. Always he get the biggest portion. He get the biggest project, and then I get second biggest. And this is Chamber of Commerce. And we try to make a passage in the town. Then, and we had to preserve this facade. But this building collapsed after the earthquake. So we had to rebuild the facade, and also I can say refurbished all the warehouse. The idea is keeping this geometry like this, and then making another side to be modern. And this city is not just it's about world heritage. This city has a company to make launching space rocket, and they sent space rocket to asteroid. They picked up the piece of asteroid back to Japan, back to the Earth. And also they have the latest medical company. They have the biggest share of the machine in the world. So this city is not only about history. They wanted to have future. Okay, and this is a picture of the old factory. This is the first modern truss structure, timber structure in Japan. 440 years ago, Japan was really behind. 140 years ago, And this is a structure we made, and it's a monocoque structure, but yet we are keeping the feeling of timber. But it's not the truss, it's a surface model. So one side looking like this, and you walk through, and then you get in, like this mesh structure. And this is how it's looking like. This is derived from the local detail, the detail of the local architecture. It gets light like this, and also same time represent the silkworm factory. This is how they used to make silkworm. Okay. Oh, this time it's working itself. So just from the books, bookshelves, everything got same diagram, but it's all derived from local, culture. 100% timber. And these days, you see the magazines saying, timber architecture. But most of these are not really timber. You should be careful, I think eventually people start discover. Oh, this time it's working now. This is a church we built recently, and it's Protestant church, but they think they want to go back to basic. They don't want to think they are new, Christianity. they are saying we are going back to the basic. So it means, so we try to go back the time of Egyptian temple, that before Moses, This is how, and this light is very important in Christianity. And also just we walked around all the, churches in Eastern Roman Empire. By the way, her name is Maria. So I thought that this is a good picture. And then this is a project we built recently. It's got nice surface, so they can get nice reflection of sound from pipe organ. And this is after dark. You get very nice blue light. Actually, we haven't got to our real pipe organ, but they have an old organ on the corner. And it's the church is called Rather of Angel. It's a kind of light coming down to the sky. And it's a very important part of Christianity. Again. So some people say, it's easy to look over there, but I think it's going backwards, much older than that. We are trying to go back to basic, how it used to be. So if you go to Eastern Roman churches in Eastern Roman Empire, you find this kind of light quite a lot. Some skylights. I worked with artists, and also I derived some details from these. So we got holes like this. Okay. I think it's too much. This is the latest project. It's not built yet. It's it's a project in Melbourne, and it's the middle of the skylight, middle of the highlights building. We decided to build a kindergarten with a nice roof, so everybody can see things in the garden. So roof is inclined. Oops, but details hasn't come yet. Okay, this is the last one because. You people are too young to know this project. It's old project. Some people say I copied that design from the Yang Museum, but this is older the Yang Museum. You should know that, And then some people says, snow header. I copied the idea from snow header. To Opera House. The roof house is about 5 years older, but I don't say that to them. This is a museum in the deepest snow in the world. This was the front cover of Ben's Biennale 2004. And it's all worded. It's really against what you learn in normal school because steel expands. But the point is we got a very special base, so the building slides, absorbs the movement. So if you want to go to see the bigger building, you should go to summer. It's about 20 centimeters longer. But you need to have a good eyes. You have a big window in the corner. It's a little less than 40 meters. It's a very expensive window, $500,000 per piece. 2,500 tons of coating steel. Okay. And in winter, 5 minutes, 1 day, and this area gets 30 meters of snow each year, squash down 6 to 7 meters of ice, and then all disappears. Very dangerous snow. So if you caught in the crevice here, you have to wait until May to come out. It takes a long time to get out. And then one day, our curator called, snow is piling up. Are you okay? Do you think it's okay? I said, it's okay. It's calculated. Then they called us again. Are you sure? So I called structure engineer. Structure engineer said, yeah, we calculated it carefully. It should be okay. So I told the curator, structure engineer says, probably okay. They called us again. Scary. And now just we are getting used to, but it's really heavy snow. It's about, more than 2,000 kilograms per square meter. And two cars, and one car each square meter. It's very heavy. And but when the snow is reaching to the ceiling, and we got very nice line of the light, we call the Tada-Ando effect. Now it's coming to the end of slides. So this is a car we are driving. It's called Citroen Nusibu. And there's no air conditioning. So in the summer, you have to open it up. But sometimes it rains. But still, you can open this window. But if you forget to close this when you go into expressway, all the water in the bonnet comes into the cabin and making ponding on the floor. Then, if you read instruction very carefully, if water ponds happens, you can pull the plug out from the floor. You can let the water out. My point is, this car is not perfect. But great thing it was in production for almost 40 years, something like that. It's amazing. More than 40 years, 45 years. It's easy to design architecture to stand for a long time, just as a structure. But usually people destroy it before the lifetime because people don't like it. And some old architectures are not durable, but people try to save it because they like it. And the owner of the roof house gave a very nice comment. You never get satisfaction, 100% perfection from Tezuka Architects. Always there's something going wrong. But I promise, you love Tezuka Architecture 200%, like kids. You can put many people in, you can put many things in, you can put family in. That's the time I came to UC Berkeley, San Francisco, 2006, I think. Thank you very much.
You can make those conditional.
Okay.
Yes. So I think we've got a few minutes to take some questions from students and guests, and I'll pass this around. Great.
Hi. It was really exciting because it's like, seeing a lot of quotes from the train, and then I remember them because they're so nice, and I finally meet the author of all that quotes. So what was really exciting about the presentation was that I see a lot of kind of really intense research on various topics, depending on the purposes of the building, such as how the walls are not there in the kindergarten. You're considering the proxemics of the kids, and high-tech acoustics and lightings and history of religious architecture and all that things. And I want to know if these researches or studies are purposely synthesized in your practice, or is it just about like Japanese architecture that you guys just make good decisions intuitively?
Okay, I think it's a very good question. You can be clever so fast because still when you are young, you are not clever enough. You don't have enough knowledge. But if you are being decent human being, if you are doing right thing, always there's an answer. And you know that it's nicer to open the window. You don't feel good when everything is closed. So if you ask your body, it gives you good answer. And I found the people understand these kind of things. And then after we try these things, eventually people come to help us. There are many people got PhD making research about Fuji Kindergarten. And they're making questions, interviews to me. And so this research come after. But my point is, we absorb, all these reasoning, after construction, and it becomes a part of knowledge. So we designed a hospital, but while we are designing, we study with scientists about bacterial environment. And also, after we built this Fuji Kindergarten, we had some talk with new scientists and the scientists about our sound environment. So always you have to open to science. You read things. And also, when I was a student, I used to write a program from scratch to analyze the structure. You know, before, it's a long time before structure analysis program happens. It is all just algorithm, like a matrix. So I was really mathematic guy. And so all this background helps. But you don't need to be disappointed. You know, when you are young, you don't know these kind of things. It's quite normal. But if you are doing right thing, and people try to help you, you get a group of people how to emphasize what you're doing. So I have many scientists helping from different schools. You know, some people from MIT, some people from Harvard, and some people from Tokyo University. That is how it works. Okay? You're from China?
Oh, no, from here.
From here?
Yeah.
From here? Oh, from here. Okay. So you get the help from AC Berkeley or this school. Okay.
Great, thank you. Another question? Great. Get you next.
Hi, my name is Juliana. I'm currently in 410, and I'm designing a after-school extracurricular activities kind of building, and it's for kids mainly. And the focus is, I'm focusing on the process because I feel like kids learn a lot during process instead of just focusing on the final product. And for example, you were explaining that for different projects you have like help from different scientists, right? But for example, me, I don't know if I could find that help, and I'm still studying how kids react to certain things. I was earlier looking into like surfaces and how they explore spaces and all of that. And I want to ask, what is the best advice you could give me, since I don't have many resources as a student, I guess, to like understand better like how kids react to spaces or just.
Yeah, I think I gave you the answer. And I mean, did I tell the stories? Just, you know, when I was talking to the student in Harvard, and I told him, you get married and you get the baby, and you understand how they react. And even you don't need to have a baby. Just you adopt children, and they do same thing. And that's one thing I can tell you. You know, people always think, oh, people from Japan is different from American, you know, the white people different from yellow and black or purple, whatever, you know. But I think it's all same. My office is from 7 countries, you know, India, and China, and Portugal, and Ireland, and France, and Australia, and Malaysia. But when they are in comfortable environment, they react same way, and the kids also same. You know, we got almost same gene sequence. Difference is very small, so just try to observe it. You know, there's a big difference between observation and analysis. Even you try to analyze it, you know, you don't get answer. Analysis is usually based on the kind of quantification. You just scientists try to understand the quantifiable, you know, things to be picked up. But observation is different. And analysis is the one to get in. You know, some people. Also, for example, when you ask somebody, why this tea is so tasty, and then scientists try to boil this tea and try to understand, ingredients. And they make spectral analysis, and then they list the numbers. So he said, oh, this is the reason why it's so tasty. It doesn't mean anything. But if you talk to an old lady, she will give you answer. Oh, it's quite simple. Outside is cold, inside is warm, and as you were, in front of the table, usually you eat with his family. But after all, And I have been making your tea already 25 years. That is why this tea is so tasty. But the truth, you know? Truth is not about analysis. No, just you can't analyze it. It's a relationship with other environment. So just try to observe kids all the time, and you understand it. You know, you can learn from that book, from the books, because when you make, when you read the books, sometimes it lies. You know, follow your instinct. It's quite simple. Okay. Thank you.
I think we've got another one here.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Chao Lun from China. So my question about kindergarten design, because this semester I'm working on kindergarten design. So I want to ask you, how do you define the boundary in your design? And what's the boundary meaning in your architecture?
Boundary in the physical form, or and how we can frame the knowledge? What kind of boundary you talking about?
Like separate different space, like public and private space. Yeah, because I see you for the kindergarten, so there is no clear boundary.
Yeah, no boundary is better. Okay, always boundary is the biggest issue. Okay, first of all, you can talk about safety. I mean, people think, oh, it's higher walls better. But do you know that most of the violent incident happened behind the higher wall? Because if something happens, people cannot escape, and the people cannot help. That's the truth. So, you know, around that kindergarten, there's a very small fence. So, of course, if you want to get in, you can step on it, but it makes a lot of noise, you know? And the people escape, people leaves. And secondly, it's better not to have boundary between inside and outside, because that is how we are supposed to be. Sometimes you want to be outside, sometimes you want to be inside. You know, we used to be able to find a good environment in the nature, sometimes under the tree, inside the building, but these days you are not moving. So you are trying to bring the environment from outside. That is why many things happening. And also, boundary between people. That's the worst thing that happens. And I can tell you one thing, and always I keep telling this. You know, Chinese people say, you know, oh, Japanese architecture, that's a copy of Chinese architecture. I said, it's wrong. You know, you came to Japan, you know, 5th century or 4th century. You built these. You know, that is your architecture. And that these people stayed in Japan. So you are me. There is no different. You know? So, but some modern age people put the boundary between the people. Then some people say this is Chinese, this is Japanese. But it's not true. There is no boundary. Korean, the Japanese, and the Chinese, it's very similar. And even just I'm talking to people from India, doing same thing. So, you know, no boundary is the most important element of the Fuji kindergarten. I'll tell you one more. In the link, you know, there's when the scientists see the link, and then they try to find the center. One of the scientists try to find the center of the Fuji kindergarten. It doesn't exist, because I drew the shape, and they scanned it in. There's no geometry. Just I leave them to find the center. But my point is, it's not enclosure. It's link, represent Buddhism. In Buddhism, nothingness on the middle of the circle is the most important. Because there's nothing on the middle, you can bring everything in and out. So ring doesn't mean enclosure, it's openness. Because you are being empty. You know, just like a donut, center of the donuts, you know, the most important essence of the donuts is whole, but you can't eat it, you know? You know? So it means no boundary between the bottom to top, it's open. Do you understand? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. These are provocative questions. Do you have time for one more? One more in the back? Great. We could do this all evening, I think.
Hello, I'm Juke. Thank you so much for coming today. We enjoyed your presentation. I just want to talk about there's so much playfulness in your architecture, and I feel like your architecture is very much like acts like furniture or the other way around. Can you expand more on that? Like,
Sure.
yeah, like, oh, you know, like everything is connected. Everything is like, oh, you can use this as a part. Because like I saw one of your videos with your house, and it seems like you don't have specific rooms, and it.
Yeah. So it's actually it's about architecture space. Usually you define the function of each room, like that room for Mimi, like room. That maybe that is Dean's room, or and a toilet. But in my architecture, we try not to define. And firstly, that belongs to our tradition. If you go to Japan, you find Japanese architecture has multiple functions. And because of that, people try to make best of use of the architecture. And that is how architecture survived long time. No? So maybe it's a real cultural thing. But of course, when I do things in Europe, things may be different. I'm doing some project now in Belgium, and also I do some project in Melbourne. So there could be some difference, yeah. But there's one thing I can tell you: all the clients coming to my office are just really understand what we're doing. No, so we try to understand our philosophy, but it doesn't mean that they are doing exactly donuts. We always, we say we are a very nice donut shop, but when they come to my house, and always they say, okay, we make very nice classic donuts, but we have other merchandise. How about pretzels and dumplings, other things? And then it works. As long as philosophy is good, you can extend the philosophy, modify the property to suit condition. Did I answer your question? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. I sense. Oop. Yes, I was going to do two housekeeping questions. You've got some books there that you want to do something with, I think.
Oh, yeah. Just I was trying to give this to the school.
Oh, to the whole school.
Okay.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay. So just there are 3 monographs, 1, 2, 3, and this is my lecture in Harvard, and they published as people understand the lecture. But then, if you don't have money to buy this in Amazon, you can Google my TED talk, and it's a shorter version. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And one housekeeping request of all of you, there was a survey on your chair as you're leaving. Can you fill that out and leave it on the consul's desk or with the consul rep at the back? Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for the great questions, and thank you, Tezuka-san, for a wonderful, wonderful lecture. Thank you.